So Springfield just dropped the Hellcat 380, and I had to see if it's actually worth carrying or just a softer version of the 9mm. After running a few hundred rounds through it, I can tell you this little thing shoots way flatter than I expected for something that small. What's up? This is Luke from Line 45. Today, I'm tearing into Springfield's new Hellcat 380, testing its claimed 1+1 flush, or 1+3+1 extended capacity, 16.1 ounce unloaded weight, tritium U-dot sights, and most importantly, whether the Tamer 380 recoil actually makes it a better everyday carry. Before we dive in, do me a solid. Smash that subscribe, tap the bell, hit all the dang buttons down there. You don't gotta, but it keeps this train rolling and lets me crank out more of this wild gun talk for y'all. Alright, enough of that, let's get back to it. The pocket pistol reinvented. So the Hellcat 380 really surprised me when I first took it out. I figured it was just the 9mm version with less kick, but Springfield actually built this thing to run smoothly and stay small without losing performance. It's got the same 3-inch hammer-forged barrel, that optics-ready OSP slide that fits shield microdots, and the adaptive grip texture that grips tighter the harder you squeeze. The gun weighs around 16 ounces empty, comes with an 11-round flush mag and a 13-round extended mag, and measures right at 1 inch wide. For a micro pistol, that's perfect. It's small enough to vanish under a shirt, but still gives you a real grip when you draw. Once I started shooting, the difference was instant. The recoil is noticeably lighter than the 9mm version, and I could stay on target way more easily. The dual recoil spring setup really does its job. You can shoot one-handed, double tap, or run drills without feeling that snappy micro pistol sting. The tritium U-dot front and U-notch rear sights line up clean, even in low light, and they're standard, which is a win. Honestly, this feels like Springfield took everything people liked about the original Hellcat and made it easier to live with. It shoots soft, carries light, and fits tight. For a daily carry pistol, that combo just works. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let me cook up the details. Recoil and shootability. Recoil and shootability are where this thing earns its keep. I'm talking real reps, not table talk. The 380 ACP runs at lower pressure than 9mm, so the impulse is softer, and with the Hellcat's dual recoil spring and 3-inch barrel, the slide tracks flat and comes home clean. My sights settled quicker, my grip didn't get yanked around, and my follow-ups landed where I called them. One-handed strings felt controlled instead of sketchy, and strong-hand-only drills didn't punish my wrist. No cap, that softer snap matters when you're actually training and not just mag dumping. I ran mixed defensive loads to see if they fell apart when you change bullet weight. Lighter solids like Honey Badger clocked fast and still stayed super manageable. Heavier 95 to 99 grain loads kept the muzzle even calmer, which made cadence work feel easy. The trigger reset is short enough that you can ride it and keep a steady rhythm without throwing shots high. When I pushed the pace at 7 yards, the dot or the tritium front came back into the notch fast, and the sights didn't feel like they were fighting me. That equals less wasted motion and tighter groups when you're pushing splits. Control matters most when your grip starts to fatigue, and this frame helps you cheat that. The adaptive grip texture gives you bite only when you clamp down, so the gun locks in during strings but stays comfortable to carry. The slide serrations up front and rear let me run press checks and quick racking even with sweaty hands. I watched for the classic micro gun flinch at the end of a long session, and it just didn't show up. I wasn't chasing the front sight, and my support hand didn't feel cooked. Bottom line on shootability. I can hold an honest cadence, keep hits inside the A zone at carry distances, and still have enough control to clean up a shot if I break rhythm. That is the entire point of picking the 380 version. You get capacity and concealment with recoil you can actually work with, which means more reps, better confidence, and fewer bad habits creeping in. Trigger, ergonomics, and controls. The trigger on my Hellcat 380 breaks clean for a micro, with a short, tactile reset that lets me ride it without slapping. Pull weight sits in that mid 5 to 6-ish pound window, which is right where I want a carry gun, crisp enough for accuracy, heavy enough for safety. The wall is predictable, the take-up is smooth, and I'm not fighting gritty stacking. When I ran cadence drills, I could feel the reset click, then send the next round without the sights wandering. For a tiny striker-fired pistol, that's solid, no cap. Ergo check. The adaptive grip texture actually earns its name. It stays chill against skin, then bites when I clamp down under recoil. With the 11-rounder and pinky extension, I get almost a full purchase, swap to the 13-round mag, and it's full hand control. The slide is easy to rack for a micro. The front and rear serrations give me traction even with sweaty hands, and the sight picture is fast. That tritium front dot and U-notch rear pull your eye where it needs to go. The frame keeps that roughly 1-inch width, so it hides under a T, but it doesn't feel toy thin when I present from concealment. Controls are set up the way I like for carry. The mag release is positive and easy to hit without dumping a mag by accident, and it can be set up for lefties. The slide stop is sized right, not a shelf that my support hand thumb rides, so it actually locks back when it should. You still get a standard accessory rail for a micro light or laser, and the OSP slide takes shield pattern micro dots, which co-witness with the irons. Put that together and you've got a tiny carry gun that handles like a legit fighting pistol. Damn. Accuracy and range performance. On the range, I pushed the Hellcat 380 from typical defensive distances, and then out to 15 yards for some timed groups, and the numbers matched what I was expecting from a well-built micro in 380. I averaged just over an inch at 15 yards during my accuracy session, which is impressive for a 3-inch barrel platform and shows the sights and ergonomics are doing real work. I also logged velocity numbers across a handful of defensive loads, so you know what those groups reflect. Black Hills Honey Badger, 60 grain ran about 1,202 feet per second. Federal Hydra-Shock 99 grain about 919 feet per second. Federal Punch 85 grain about 985 feet per second, and Fiocchi Coverdex 95 grain about 1,020 feet per second during my tests. Those chronographs and group numbers are consistent with other hands-on reviews and Springfield's published specs, so I'm confident this isn't just a one-off. What that means for real shooting is straightforward. The tritium U-dot front and U-notch rear give you a fast sight picture, and because 380 impulse is softer than a similar size 9mm, the front sight comes back into the notch quicker between shots. I ran rapid strings and could hold tighter splits than I do on a snappier Micro 9, which translated directly to smaller groups under pace. If you fit a small dot to the OSP slide, target acquisition speeds up even more, and the dot fills the window in a way that makes hitting at close to moderate distances almost instinctive. Shooting at dimmer light, the tritium sight was still usable and co-witnessed well with a shield pattern optic in my setup. Ballistically, the heavier 95 to 99 grain defensive bullets calm the muzzle impulse and feel the best through the short barrel, while lighter specialty rounds like the Honey Badger still deliver high velocity with manageable recoil. Practically speaking, you're trading a bit of terminal energy for controllability, and that trade pays off when it keeps follow-ups inside the A zone at typical encounter distances. For shooters who prioritize fast, accurate follow-ups and who actually train with their carry gun, the Hellcat 380 is a legit option that can put reliable, serviceable hits where they need to be. No cap. Reliability, ammo, and real-world carry. On the range, the Hellcat 380 ran every defensive load I tested without a hiccup. I ran Black Hills Honey Badger 60 grain, Black Hills 90 grain JHP, Federal Punch 85 grain JHP, Federal Hydra-Shock 99 grain, and Fiocchi Coverdex 95 grain and log smooth feeding, consistent ejection, and 0 stovepipes. Both the 11-round flush mag and the 13-round extended mag fed reliably during rapid drills, and my chronograph numbers matched other hands-on reports, so reliability here is real. For everyday carry, the Hellcat 380 disappears. I carried it at the 3 to 30 position in a slim IWB, and it did not print under a t-shirt, and appendix with a small wedge kept the muzzle tight. At roughly 16 ounces, the empty belt sag was negligible even after long wear. If you add a micro light or a shield pattern mini red dot, you need a holster cut for that setup. The OSP slide enables optics, but holster fit is mandatory. Ammo selection matters with short barrels. Heavier 95 to 99 grain defensive loads smoothed the recoil and improved follow-up accuracy, while lighter specialty rounds delivered higher velocity but stayed controllable. My carry routine was the short 11-rounder in the gun and the 13-round mag as a spare. Maintain a regular cleaning schedule, train with the exact loads you plan to carry, and use a quality holster that fully covers the trigger. Do those things, and the Hellcat 380 is a dependable, easy-to-carry option for daily use and builds practical carry confidence. Is the new Hellcat worth it? I'm going to be blunt about who should buy the Hellcat 380. If you want a micro that shoots easily, has modern sights and optics readiness, and still gives real capacity, this is it. Springfield ships it with 1.1+1 and 1.3+1 mags, a 3-inch barrel, and it tips about 16.1 ounces empty, with an OSP slide for shield-style red dots, and MSRP sits around $653, so expect street prices somewhat lower depending on the store. Compared to alternatives, the Ruger LCP Max runs lighter and cheaper, with a suggested retail price of nearly $479 and 10-round standard mags, which makes it a strong pocket option if absolute minimal weight and price matter. The S and W Bodyguard class sits in the 400 to 500 range and is an easier shooting platform for some folks. So you pay a premium for Hellcat's capacity, sighting system, and optics-ready slide. Also, check local prices and stock, because regional dealers often run promotions or limited inventory that change the final cost. My take: if you're recoil sensitive, newer to carry, or want a high-capacity micro with modern sights, buy the Hellcat 380. It combines controllability and carryability in a way that actually encourages training. If you want the cheapest pocket weight or pure concealability, the LCP Max or S&W options beat it on price and weight. For me, the Hellcat hits the sweet spot where I won't baby the gun at the range and I still forget I'm wearing it all day. No cap.